Welcome, everybody, to the Bass Fug podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Nick Cook, a.k.a. Wasteurself, all the way from Jacksonville, Florida. Nick, thank you so much for your time. I totally appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Let's just start with this COVID bullshit. How are you? How are you surviving this? Are you, in terms of being a musician? Like, before, I presume you play live. Is that right?
As far as venues, I haven't played live, but I do house parties from time to time. But I did take a really big hiatus from DJing just to focus on producing.
Yeah. Do you find that not being able to go out as freely is sort of hindering that?
Not so much. Like, it's just more of so it cuts the population in half, because only half the people are going to want to go to the house party anyways with stuff like this going on. And I can't blame them. I wouldn't want to go do it either. And I can just focus on putting original content out.
Yeah. Are there, well, I don't want to get anybody in trouble here. I don't want you to incriminate yourself, but do you find that there's still a lot of house parties going on during this time?
Totally. And Florida specifically, because we already opened, we're like one of the early ones to open up. So even they're back to selling out clubs. But
really?
Yeah, there's some packed clubs down here sometimes. Most of the, good brands, responsible ones, do enforce social distancing even after Florida gave the okay to open up back totally.
Mm. It seems like it's never going to go away, though, I don't think. So, I see these old clips of raves from even like a year or two ago, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sad a little bit, huh?
Definitely. You can just hope people are responsible and hope people will take notice of who's being responsible, because we definitely do that in other areas of music when we decide who we're going to work with.
Yeah. Let's talk producing. You said you wanted to focus more on production. Can you go into detail about that?
Well, this year, pretty much the year I started to release consistently, which is like once a month and maybe a label release once every 2 months. So just hard work ethic, trying to get that done.
When you say once a month, I notice on your, I have Spotify, and I notice that you are releasing consistently. Do you find that, because I know you don't have albums on Spotify, it's singles.
Right.
Do you feel like that's just sort of a sign of the times, or do you plan on taking your singles and putting them out as an album?
Well, I do plan on releasing an album, maybe not even an album, but maybe an EP next year. But as far as producing at my level, it's marketing wise, it's probably best just to release as singles to build the fan base and create like a snowball effect.
Can you go into, I guess, marketing tips for like new producers, like people that are just trying to get into the game and they have like no listeners?
So more than being consistent is important, which I already brought up. Even if you start slow, like once every 2 months, that's fine. But also like networking's important. So hitting up other producers or peers, because if it's in the same genre, around the same stature of following, you hit them up, you just network, you guys start building relationships and essentially supporting each other's music. Eventually you just have a big friends list either on your Facebook, Discord. And other than that, for sure, if you have money to invest, you can do promotion through SoundCloud, through some repost chains, or Spotify playlisting. There's a bunch of routes you can take. It's about prioritizing and figuring out your branding.
I notice that part of your brand is the ghost.
Right.
I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, or I don't know anyways, it's a ghost, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about the ghost and maybe go into why you chose that as part of your branding?
To be completely honest, the ghost was in a former name I had, which I prefer not mention because there's copyright issues.
Oh, okay.
And that's the whole reason. So I salvaged the logo.
What were you,
into
Deadmau5?
something I think. No, no. Just it's a very.
I got it. We don't need
It's
to. It's
even crazy that there was LLC at our level, but
okay.
It happens,
Yeah. So the ghost.
Right.
Yeah. Do you find, because I noticed that in a lot of bass music, there seems to be like mascots now for the, I guess the brand logo. Do you find that, or
in certain niche, I believe so. I also find there's also lots of hard to pronounce names and some funny and complicated spelling. But for me, the ghost is more of just like my branding for album work. Usually you'll see the ghost on label releases, and that's more of like signifying a collaboration with the label, just being on the same artwork right next to each other.
Yeah. For producing, do you find that you have to stick to one style? Because you're talking about it's important to be consistent with your releases, but I noticed that all your releases are different each month. Like you could tell it's made by the same person, but there's a different vibe from track to track. Is that on purpose, or is that just what you feel like producing and putting out that month?
I would say for sure is on purpose, because what part of makes my style is how I set up my arrangement, whether it be the random Foley and off-brand percussion you wouldn't normally hear, or my sound design. It's sort of what makes Wasteurself brand Wasteurself, and especially among my peers, because I consider my brand or my genre to be related to this new upcoming trap wave, actually called Trap 2.
Trap 2.
what we're trying to make it called. Most people would just call it experimental trap, like if it was a third outside listener finding us.
Let's talk about sound design a little bit, because you mentioned that briefly. Can you walk us through your sound design process?
Yeah. So I'm basically a huge Serum nerd, and been making my own Serum patches, and even making a couple packs and giving it out to some peers. But I've been making them since longer than Wasteurself's been alive. I used to hear presets and just like kind of sounds like someone else, because you're using a preset, and you're just never really satisfied with it. So I just said, I'm gonna make bad patches until they get good. And it took years, but it finally happened, and it also developed my own style of patches.
When you said you started making bad patches, you mean you sort of didn't really know what you were doing going into it, but then you later were able to master it? Is that what you mean?
Pretty much, yeah. Some people would even call them bad. They're just not what you wanted.
Yeah. That's always a challenge. And I think for a lot of people that start producing electronic music, they go in because they listen to whoever, Aphex Twin or Deadmau5 or whoever, and then they sit down in front of their DAW, and then they go, wow, like this fucking sucks. It doesn't sound anything like the guy I like. And then they just give up, and it's so sad, because I think when you're doing sound design, a lot of the fun of making music is just moving these knobs and trying to get weird sounds out of them.
Right. It's pretty discouraging. I mean, the whole process of music in general. But it has its ups and downs. And as far as sound design goes, it's just something you have to polish. It's, if you were to work out every day, you'd get stronger. It's the same with arrangement, sound design, anything. You just do it for 30 minutes a day, that 30 minutes adds up, and years after years, you just get really strong.
Yeah. It seems like everybody's using Serum these days. I think Serum is the new massive. What is it about Serum that you like that helps you, develop a sound?
To be honest, I didn't have much money when I started, and they had an awesome payment plan through Splice, so that made it really easy to be one of the first non-pirated synths that I used, because back when you started, you're like, am I going to be even any good? So everyone pretty much tries to see if they can learn on a pirated synth.
And there's dangers when you're using pirated software. I've lost a hard drive because I cracked something,
Oh yeah. You shouldn't, if you like using the software, you should pay for it. But it's definitely, there's even software that I downloaded recently that on the official website that will let you steal it. There's a button that says steal on the website.
Yeah.
But because they know if you actually use it, you'll go back and support them.
For sure. Totally. And now I think in the last 10 years, like bedroom producing has grown so much that now you have all these free plugins and just free synths.
Oh yeah.
And you don't even have to buy or steal something.
And that's completely true, as it should be too, because you shouldn't. It's already so expensive. It's kind of telling people in poverty not to make music.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I never thought of that. There's probably people in some rough situations that want to make music, but the thing is, it's better now, right? All you need is a laptop. 30 years ago, you had to rent a studio time for $400 an hour to go in. But now it's never been better, right? Even look at the drum machines they had back then. Like you had a TR-707. Yeah, it's great, but it's no Serum, right?
Right. There's nothing beats software, really. Except hardware, but nothing beats just being able to grab it that night and make something that night and learn whenever you want without having to clunk something around except your laptop.
Yeah, totally agree. Can we talk about some of the plugins that you're using besides Serum, or is that the only thing you're using?
I'll use Massive for melodic elements, but really what I've been trying to get better as far as like technique, I've been using a lot of Fruity Granulizer which is stock, but it's for like resampling, because in Trap 2 in particular, a lot of my peers, most of the sound design comes from resampling previous samples and basically turning it into your own. And that's what makes mine drops a little different, because only a couple people actually use Serum in Trap 2, I believe.
You're talking about the granulizer in FL Studio. Is that the same thing as Harmer?
No, so Harmer would actually be a synth, but granulizer would be a resampler. So you could drag any percussion sample into it and pretty much mangle it in many different ways, changing the waveform. Additionally to that, you'd give it a whole nother mix down, maybe like a frequency shifter or some saturation and reverb throws. And that's really the technique part of it, is how you mix down your resampled sample.
Yeah. It's cool because you mentioned your peers. You said, the sound that me and my peers are using. There's something in the bass music community that there's this collective, I feel like everyone's kind of in their own gang, and it's so cool, they're sharing sample packs with one another, and they're helping each other out, and there's the repost chains, and people are, there's a lot. It seems like you guys support each other so much. Do you find that, or do you think there's some drama there too?
There's not really group drama. I mean, you'll have your individual. There's always going to be, someone who's not cordial with another person. But as far as the community goes, in the community that I am, and it's probably the most friendly community you can be in. There's Partica Artist Group. They have 30-minute beat battles every Tuesday. You can tune in and just resample stuff and compete in contests. We do like feedback. We invite newer producers in all the time to all our Discord servers. Look up Below the Surface, Partica Artist Group, Wubbaholics, any Trap 2 genre, and you're more than welcome. We love new people. We really do. We love teaching, the new wave, because that's what we feel like we are as well.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That is such an awesome way to look at it. I remember back in the day when I used to, when I was something in the late 90s, in the early 2000s, people would, I won't say their name, but I remember I met a really famous dude at a show in Montreal at the SAT afterwards. And I was asking them how they program their synthesizers, and it was so secret. It was like the CIA or something. It was like how to find bin Laden. They wouldn't really talk about how they made their synths or how they sliced their beats and it was I found it was really toxic. But what you're telling me, it's the complete opposite. It's really, really cool. Like, you have a supportive communities that are there to help other people get into making music, which is awesome.
Right. Yeah. They're really getting into a community really encourages you too, because like I said, there's a lot of downs. There's a lot of like rejection from labels, doubting yourself, all that, and being able to have some type of support system and maybe a couple of friends in there that new internet friends can really make the difference.
You just mentioned labels. Is there a need for labels in 2020? I mean, you can just release your stuff on DistroKid by yourself now, right? You can manage your own social media. There's a TweetDeck. There's a Facebook Creator Studio. All these programs to manage your social media. There's your own Facebook ads, Google AdSense. Is there a purpose to having a label? Do you find that there's benefit to that?
Lots. I want to preface by saying that you should definitely focus on your brand more than anything, because no one's going to care about the release more than yourself. So if you put the same amount of effort that a label puts into the release, then you should definitely do that. But if you're making enough music where you can streamline to a label, you might as well, because you can only release so much. If you're releasing with promotion and paid artwork, you can only afford so much at once, and even workload at the same time. And just submitting to labels helps build community. You just meet a lot more people. Like when you submit to Partica Artist Group, you're not just getting your song on a label, you're getting added to their repost chain, so they support you from there on after. You get added to the Partica Artist group chat, and where it's just all the other Partica artists who released on there, and you shoot the shit and make new friends, collab. And this is the same with a bunch of the labels that are in my particular genre that I can speak for.
So in your genre, the labels are taking care of the album artwork, the promotion, and doing the hype, and you could just focus on making music, I guess.
To an extent, you should always, it is still your music, so you shouldn't just not post about it on your other social medias, or you think about if you collabed with your friend, you wouldn't just, all right, man, you take care of the rest. It's out of my hands now.
Yeah.
You want to, like I said, it's a community, so you want to care about the track just as much as they do. Maybe not do paid promotion, but do the repost trading, with the artists that we talked about earlier. It'd probably be best if you're a newer artist to honestly make a spreadsheet of new artists as you meet them and how to contact them, and just be straight up and be like, hey, I got this repost list, and I was wondering if I could add you to it. I like your music, you like my music, we already support each other. If I can just hit you up once a month and we can support each other on our tracks. And that just adds up.
That's amazing. I wonder, because I don't really see that with other genres. I wonder if like a guy in like a death metal group would benefit if they had that sort of collaboration. Maybe they do. I don't know. I haven't interviewed with any of them yet. But what would you look out for if you're giving advice to a beginner when they're signing up to a label? Like, are there certain rights that you have to kind of keep into consideration, or anything weird like that? Royalties and
it's really popular in the trap music, not even just trap 2, but like trap in general, to use popular acapellas that usually can't get cleared, so you should watch for that. But
yeah.
Sometimes people can get away with it just by mangling it, and it sounds good, and even some labels will still accept it. But the larger ones, if you're shooting like for the stars, will probably ask you to change it. So it's good just getting that habit of not using those. As far as copyright, definitely get rights to your logo if you're already investing in it too. But I was a smaller artist when that happened, so it's no biggie for that. It's like baby brand.
What did you do to get the rights to your logo? Like, how do you do that? You just Google that, or what?
You just copyright your logo. So you can't copyright a name or like an idea, but you can copyright logos.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I remember people used to say, "Oh, if you mail it to yourself, that counts as copyright." But I think that's bullshit. I don't think that's true, right?
I'm unsure of that. Yeah, no, I had to pay.
Yeah,
yeah. There is not just no mailing it. That's weird. Maybe in another country, but I know in Florida, in particular, they like to make some money off you anywhere they can.
Yeah. Let's talk about social media for a second. How would you build, what is good social media etiquette for a new producer? Like how should they be growing their page? Should they just be going, hey, everybody follow me? Or should they be posting every day? Or should they only post important information? Because sometimes you hear, like, there's that guy, Gary Vee. I don't know if you've seen him on TikTok. And he says, you got to post every day, 14 times a day. That's how you beat the algorithm. But I'm thinking maybe that would piss some people off that are following you, What's your strategy for social media?
Honestly, I'm not the best at communicating on all the social medias. Like, my Twitter's inactive, but I'll communicate on Instagram. Facebook's more community oriented, so if you're using Facebook beyond like local people, I'd say it's good for growing a local fan base and for just communicating with your label friends and networking. Instagram is a really good site because you're able to put out visual content in between your releases, which you don't have to post every day, but it's nice to have something remind people of you more than just when you release a song. So if you can just get your name, in front of people every now and then, when it's not just you releasing a song, but you don't want to be fake about it. Just be like, or just, posting subpar
content,
bad memes every day.
That's what you just described, the base fuck Instagram. We didn't have an Instagram, and when we were trying to get guests, they were like, "Where's your Instagram?" And I was like, "Well, shit, I gotta go make an Instagram." But we didn't have anything yet, so we were reposting from other meme pages. But I would see it, and I was like, "This is awful." So now we have a different strategy where we're cutting up chunks of the podcast and putting them out as things. So I'm glad you're telling me that, because I was worried. I thought I had to post every day, but I think it's just better if I post good content maybe twice a week instead of shitty content every day.
It's just something for them to see you when you're not, when, they expect you to release this day, annually.
Yeah.
And then maybe you post on your Instagram sub-annually. So it's like, oh yeah, their Facebook podcast coming up soon.
Yeah.
Then the clipping is definitely the way to go, especially with, the Twitch development.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe the next step would be editing the clips into your own memes, right?
yeah, that's a good idea. What do you think of these live shows, like streaming online? Are you down with these, or do you think it's not everybody checks them out?
So I did do a preface by saying I did do one recently for my friend Gold Scrolls at Artist Guild. It was fun. But I mainly did it because he was my friend. I don't personally find many live shows rewarding for me. I'd only do like a community-based one. So if like Below the Surface or Particle asked me, we're friendly, so it's like a friend thing. Yeah, I'll do it. But like, it's, from what I notice, it's mainly unrewarding unless you're on someone like RL Grimes or what is it? Boombacks Cartels recently had one.
Mm.
But there are good ideas for Twitch. There's good outlets, and Particle Artist Group is definitely showing that with their beat battles every week.
Yeah, and it's weird because now Twitch is going beyond gaming. It's like people are doing tutorials live on Twitch.
Right.
What are you using for mastering?
Mastering? I just use mostly Waves plugins. And I honestly use some stock. I'm a big believer in stock plugins.
Yeah. What do you have for monitors and for headphones, if you don't mind me asking?
Just standard Rocket 5s.
Yeah, me too. Huh.
The KRKs.
Yeah. Why do you think it's best to use stock plugins?
It's not so much as what's best. It's just not trying to overcomplicate things at every turn. If you have, a fruity multi-band compressor is just as good as many other multi-band compressors you can get. And since it's already a stock plugin, it's not going to waste a bunch of CPU if you're running on a not so great computer.
Yeah.
There's just many reasons to do it, but mine is just to simplify workflow as many turns as I can.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I totally appreciate the time. We're getting towards the end of the interview here. It's a big night for you guys down there, so I don't want to give you time to prepare. Let's talk about some of your new releases that you got coming up.
Great. So I have an independent release coming out on all my streaming sites on the 7th, November 7th. And I have a release coming to Hybrid Trap the 16th. And that's the Hybrid Trap label, also on all streaming websites. And then the 18th, I have another release coming to Obscure Network, also Obscure on all streaming websites.
Excellent. Nick, thank you so much for your time. I totally appreciate it. Is there anything you wanted to say before we go?
Definitely check out Particle Artist Group, Gurf, Run It, Raucous, Kaiser, Therapy, that's THRPY, Soul Assist, and Trap 2 for Life.
Excellent. If you send me those links, we'll put it in the show notes so everyone can go click on those.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to do that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nick. Have a good night.
You too, man.
Yeah,
Great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
This program was brought to you by the superwill64.com Entertainment Network. For more great shows, podcasts, and music, please visit superwill64.com.